Señores, voy a cantarles, pero quiero su atención. En un barrio de Chicago, estado de Illinois, se murió Delfino Mora y le mandamos su canción. El día 10 de julio a las 6 de la mañana.
That was Chuy Negrete with the corrido a Delfino Mora. Welcome to the Rise Weekly Review for September 19th through September 26th, 2022. A Chicago man was killed in a Hessville shooting on Sunday. The shooting occurred at a private party at the Serenity Lounge located on the 6200 block of Kennedy Avenue. Around 1:40 a.m., police responded to reports of shots fired at the location. 29-year-old Brian Leonard of Chicago passed away as a result of injuries received during the shooting. He was among 3 others shot. No further information was reported. Anyone with information is asked to call Detective Sergeant Tony Panarski at 219-852-2983 or Detective Sergeant James Onahan at 219-852-2907. On Saturday, 3 men were wounded in a shooting at the Elk Hill Gardens. Around 1:30 p.m., the 3 were walking down the street on the 5600 block of East 133rd Street when someone began firing shots in their direction. 3 men, ages 24, 39, and 41, were struck by the gunfire. The 24-year-old was struck in the back and taken to Advocate Christ Medical Center, where he was last reported in critical condition. The 41-year-old was hit in the forearm. He was also transported to Advocate Christ Medical Center, where he was last reported in good condition. The 39-year-old was taken to Trinity Hospital with a gunshot wound to the arm. He was last reported in good condition. Anyone with information on this or other Chicago crimes is asked to call 311 or leave an anonymous tip at cpdtip.com. On Monday the 26th, a 14-year-old teen was wounded in a South Darien shooting. The teen was on the 10500 block of South Yates around 8:25 p.m. According to reports, a person pulled up in a car and began firing shots at the teen. He was grazed in the head by a bullet. He was taken to Comer Children's Hospital, where he was last listed in serious condition. On Wednesday, a woman was sexually assaulted at the Purdue Hammond campus. According to reports, the female student was in an elevator around 11:40 a.m. in the Guype building of the Hammond campus when a man forced his way in. The man then sexually assaulted the student. A witness saw the man fleeing the elevator and building. He was described as 5'8" with a thin build and dark complexion, possibly in his early 20s. He was wearing a black t-shirt with white lettering, dark pants, and a black COVID mask. Anyone with information is asked to contact Purdue Northwest Police at 219-989-2220 or anonymous at 219-989-2912. The family of a Calumet City man who was murdered on the north side are continuing their search for justice. 31-year-old Kevin Clewer, who was born and raised in Calumet City, had moved to Chicago's Lakeview area in his late 20s. On March 23rd of 2004, Clewer was bar hopping with friends when he met another man, and they went back to Clewer's apartment. The next day, his father went to check on him after he didn't show up for work. There, he found his son dead on the floor. Clewer had suffered 40 stab wounds to the back. A year after the murder, Clewer's mother passed away from cancer, and just 2 weeks after her death, his father died from a heart attack. Clewer is survived by his brother Ron. According to police, a possible motive was robbery. Police have since identified a suspect, although they will not release his name. He is known to travel between Puerto Rico and the U.S. A reward is being offered of up to $15,000 for tips leading to charges or a conviction. Anyone with information is asked to contact Chicago Police Homicide Tip Line at 833-408-0069 or email cpdtip.com. The EPA announced the finalization of a settlement agreement for the cleanup of the former West Calumet housing complex in East Chicago. The 346-unit public housing complex was built on the site of lead smelting and storage operations dating back to the 1900s. Since 1985, documents describe the site as containing lead contamination in the soil, in some cases as high as 230 times EPA safe limit guidelines. However, federal authorities claimed they were unaware until 2016 of the contamination following soil sampling tests. Families at the complex were exposed to high levels of lead and arsenic before being ordered in 2016 to leave the complex by Mayor Anthony Copeland. During the week, the EPA announced two agreements which include a prospective purchaser agreement and an administrative settlement agreement and order on consent. The purchaser agreement requires the new owner of the complex property, Industrial Development Advantage of East Chicago LLC, to clean up the property according to the 2020 Record of Decision Amendment. Industrial Development Advantage purchased the site, which was rezoned for light industrial use, to be used for a warehouse and transportation logistics center. The change in the site usage limits the remediation of the land to only comply with industrial use rather than the more stringent cleanup required for residential. The administrative settlement and order on consent requires five companies which owned and operated lead processing facilities on the site to pay future oversight costs, provide $13.5 million of financial assurance to ensure cleanup, and reimburse EPA for $18 million for past cleanup costs. During the week, the Chicago Defender published an article describing allegations by several women against 7th Ward Alderman Greg Mitchell. The four black women business owners accused Mitchell of blocking them from opening up their businesses in the 7th Ward. Jasmine Baines, a realtor, attempted to open a daycare center in the 7th Ward but was unable to get an alley access letter. As a result, Baines is now unable to open the center and is now selling the business. Jocilyn Floyd, who represents Yolanda Kemp, who was trying to open the Arms Daycare Center, described a similar issue. She stated that Mitchell would not return calls and claimed that residents do not want their businesses in the ward. Another woman, Lori Shelby Hardy, had attempted to open a cigar lounge near South Deering since 2019. She claims she purchased a building that was vacant for 11 years but has been unable to move forward despite the area being zoned to allow the establishment. Yvette Moyo, who owns the Real Community Investment Group, which owns the quarry on 75th, said the alderman refuses to speak with her and did not give her a letter of support to purchase the building. She said despite his lack of support, she moved forward with her purchase and activities at the site. A spokesman for Mitchell claimed the women failed to do their due diligence in making the purchases and that the proposals fell short of city standards and or lacked support from the community and 4th District Police. The women are calling for Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot to censure Mitchell and ban him from using his aldermanic prerogatives. Aldermanic prerogative gives discretionary authority to aldermen over zoning and land use decisions in their wards. During the week, more information about Jocilyn Floyd came out as she announced her candidacy for 7th Ward alderperson. Floyd is seeking to replace current alderman Greg Mitchell, who will be seeking re-election. Floyd has begun collecting petition signatures to be put on the February ballot. Another potential candidate also joined the list of people seeking the 10th Ward aldermanic position. Life coach Lamont Record announced he will be running to replace retiring alderwoman Susan Solowski Garza. Record joins Ana Guajardo, Oscar Sanchez, Peter Chico, and Jessica Venegas as potential candidates seeking signatures to be listed on the ballot for the 10th Ward position. More information on the candidates will be included in our special election coverage. On Saturday, groups from across the region and country gathered for the First National People's Coalition rally. Groups included the Brown Berets, Brown Beret National Organization, Black Panthers, White Panthers, Young Lords, Young Patriots, People's Liberation Party, among others. The groups held a rally near the Cook County Detention Center. The event had several speakers that discussed various issues from incarceration, injustices, to building community. During the week, ABC News recognized the Mexican Patriotic Club for their efforts in the community as part of Hispanic Heritage Month. The club has been responsible for organizing the South Chicago Mexican Independence Day Parade for 83 years. The station interviewed several of the club's current members and recognized their work in offering scholarships to community children. On Monday the 26th, a street naming ceremony was held in honor of Jesus Chuy Negrete. Negrete was a folklorist, writer, singer, and scholar of Chicano culture. Negrete composed hundreds of corridos that told stories of Latino residents and events that inspired him. Negrete was born in San Luis Potosi, Mexico, but his family later migrated to the U.S., with his parents eventually settling in South Chicago when his father landed a job at Republic Steel. Negrete earned a bachelor's degree in education from UIC and a master's from Chicago State University. He worked as a teacher in various schools and universities, including the University of Illinois at Champaign, Malcolm X College, Robert Morris, Roosevelt University, Indiana University Northwest, and the University of California, Berkeley. Negrete helped form Teatro del Barrio in the 1970s and performed with Livieri and others in the group Flor y Canto. The ceremony took place near the YMCA in South Chicago on Houston. A local group is launching a campaign to help save mud puppies at Wolf Lake. The Association for the Wolf Lake Initiative is launching the campaign to educate people about the threatened salamander. The salamander breed in late fall and stay active during the winter. However, the salamanders can't survive for long out of the water. Often, fishermen may catch one and keep them out of the water too long for the salamanders to survive. The group is asking anyone who catches them to return them to the water immediately. The mud puppies are considered a valuable part of the lake ecosystem and are a threatened species in Illinois and endangered in other states. Finally, Autumn Fest is set to return in Lansing. The free two-day event is sponsored by the Lansing Association for Community Events. The event will include musical performances by Nate Venturelli, the Together Band, Darren Enlow and Friends, Eli and the Elements, American English, and Latin Soul. Food vendors will open at 11 a.m. Saturday, and the bar will open at 11:30 a.m. Food vendors include Ace Catering, Bo's Hot Dogs, I-94 Ribs, Izzy's, Skyline Snowy, Thompson Concessions, Von Vittles, Withers Concessions, and Zap Pizza. Before the event begins, Saturday, the Copper Muggers will sponsor a pancake breakfast from 8 to 11 a.m. at the American Legion Post 697 at 18255 Grant Street. A tribute to the military and first responders will then follow on the main stage at 11:30 a.m. The event begins at 4 p.m. on Friday and ends at 10:30 p.m. On Saturday, gates will open at 10 a.m. and close at 10:30 p.m. The event is held at Fox Pointe in downtown Lansing, located at 18138 Henry Street. And that ends our weekly review for September 19th through September 26, 2022. Thank you for joining us for this week in review. Peace.
Que siempre apoyaba a su familia y a muchos les dio la mano. Ya con esta me despido, con mi guitarra en la mano, recordando la memoria de Delfino Mora, que siempre ayudó a su familia.